Welcome to the Chronicles of a Christian Drama Queen podcast. I am your host and the original Christian drama queen, Lisa Ann Schaefer, and I am glad you are here. I can promise you that I know what it's like to think like a lover of Jesus, but live like a hot mess every day. So if you can relate, you're in the right place. Everything from the craziness of homeschooling my kids to overcoming deep wounds of abandonment and abuse. I want you to stay with me, sister. I have walked down those paths, and I've got decades of healing and hope that God's called me to share. Here we go. Welcome to my live podcast. And this will be a first for me. I've never done a live podcast, certainly not with StreamYard, which is where I'm working from today. So, but it's my birthday. Happy birthday to me. Got this 80s thing going. Look at that. It's cray. I want to share with you guys, just every year I kind of do a little bit of a live to let people know what I have been learning, what I've been learning over the course of the last year. And a lot of things happened to me this year. This was a very big year for the Christian drama queen. And I just have to tell you, just when you think you're too old to do anything new, let me tell you, you're not too old to do anything new. And that is the case for me today. So I wrote a Bible study this year. I'm 59 years old today. And at the age of 58, actually at the age of 56, felt like God was calling me to come home and do something with the story that he has given me. And so did come home. And for a couple of years, kind of just squandered time. I wasn't sure what he was leading me to do. I wasn't sure which stories he wanted me to share with people. Was it stories about infertility and adoption? Was it stories about drug abuse? Was it stories about my life as a rock singer? Was it stories about being hurt by the church? Was it what was it God was calling me to share with people? And just this last year, in fact, last summer, so it's not even been a whole year. Last summer, I took a step of faith and just started writing. And so that produced the Christian Drama Queen's Bible study, which is called Discarded. If you want to know, just look for these green colors, because that's, if you go to Amazon and you find a discarded Bible study with these green colors, that's it. So I did that. I made a planner to go with it. Those are things that I just was never really planning on doing any of that kind of stuff. I thought I was just going to go home and write a book. I was going to go home and tell stories about my life. And so the Chronicles of a Christian Drama Queen podcast is going to share those stories. And I will then turn those transcripts into the book that will be a go along with the Discarded Bible study. But I'm 58 years. I was 58 when I started writing that Bible study. And so to me, it's kind of insane that I would start something like that so late in life. It's not like I felt like God was calling me to be a writer ever. You guys, I have 132 friends posting happy birthdays on my timeline, and it is 11 o'clock Central Time in the morning. So that's pretty humbling. I thank you so much, guys, for all of that. So one of the things that happened in my 58th year of life, and now I'm 59, or I guess it's my 59th year of life, and now I'm 59. I became a writer. I actually started to write down my stories, and I wrote a Bible study. I self-published. I learned to utilize new technology available from Amazon, and I started to figure out how to put together my own publication. That's new. Never did that. I began to podcast. That again, several things are new there. Learning new technology again, and I'm 59 today, so it's never too late to learn. So one of the major things that I have learned over the course of this last year is that it is never too late to learn. Okay. So that's number one. It's never too late to learn, and it's never too late to try something new. It's never too late to try a new thing. And the next thing I learned is it's never too late to see dreams and desires fulfilled. It's interesting to me, God says, and I reference this verse a lot. God says that he gives us the desires of our hearts. And in my case, a lot of times I didn't even know what those desires were. I didn't know what the desires of my heart was, and still don't sometimes. But then God reveals that to me. He reveals to me those things that I desire, even when I didn't know I desired them. Case in point, in the 90s, actually late 80s, early 90s, became a radio announcer. Was not planning to be a radio announcer. Had no idea that I would like being a radio announcer. And God used a man at church who owned a radio station, managed a radio station. He said, "Come on in. I want to put you on the air," which I thought I was going in to clean the building, but no, he wanted to put me on the air. And for almost 10 years, I worked there as an announcer. Sometimes at night, I got to do my own radio show on Saturday mornings for kids, which was just a burden of love for children and giving them an alternative on Saturday morning besides the junk that was on television. And Terry gave me the freedom to do that. So that was something that God gives you the desires of your heart, and it's never too late for those to be realized. He does it all the time with us old folks. If you were to browse through the huge group of Christian podcasters that I have become acquainted with over the course of the last few weeks, you would find that many of us are in our 40s, 50s, 60s, and we're finally getting to the place where we feel God's calling to share the stories that he's given us in our lives. And so you're never too old to see the desires of your heart fulfilled. So first thing is, you're never too old to learn something new, to do something new. And the second thing is you're never too old to see God fulfill your dreams and desires. And sharing the story was not so much a dream of mine, but being in broadcasting again and being able to speak to the hearts of others that are hurting and sharing God's goodness for them, that has been a dream since I was in my 20s. So that's been over 30 years in the making. And now here he has given me just kind of not just one forum, but several forums where I'm able to share this. So praise God for that. So that's two things. So, and what's the third thing? This is a hard one. This is the thing that I've learned most recently. And in fact, I'm still learning. I'm still growing through this. And it's a toughie. And that God still requires, no matter how old you get, he still requires that we act in faith, that we take steps that we may not see solutions or outcomes from those steps. We may not see God's provision before he provides it. We may not see the result of our steps of faith from the onset. It will be on the back end that we will see God giving us answers and fulfilling our crazy dreams. And he still requires faith. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. And even at this age, 59, 21,550 days after my birth, I am realizing that he still wants us to act in faith. And that is something that's hard to do. And it seems to me like the older I get, the harder it is. When I was young and crazy in my 20s, early 20s, doing things that were dangerous or unhealthy or might put me at risk, my life at risk or my health at risk, no big deal. Hey, I'm going to live forever. I was 16, 17, 19, even 21, 22. There were no boundaries about leaping. I could leap in almost any situation, and I didn't have that much to sacrifice. It was in my mind, I wasn't gonna get hurt. I wasn't gonna get, you know how that is. Young people do this all the time. They act like this all the time, especially teenagers. They have absolutely no qualms whatsoever about putting themselves in danger. We would call it a lack of maturity now. We would call it stupidity. But even as you get older, there are times when God requires us to just leap, to just trust him with the outcome and take a step of faith, especially in areas where he has called you and he has called you. And this is how you know the difference between a calling and just something you want to do. Because in the last several weeks, the anxiety created by not trusting God and not taking steps of faith and not fulfilling what I perceive to be a calling, the anxiety created by choosing not to do those things is greater than the fear created by me deciding to do those things. Because if God's given you a calling, there should be more fear and trepidation if you choose not to fulfill it or you choose not to act upon it. If he's given you talents and gifts and this burden to do something, whether it's share with others what he's done in your story, or maybe it's sharing the truth of his word and the way he's healed in your life, or maybe it's something else, whatever it is, whatever God's calling is on your life. And believe me, there's a calling for each of us. That to me is scarier to not do than it is to do. And so for me at this time in my life, to be 59 years old today and to be saying out loud, I'm doing something brand new. I'm starting something brand new. I'm starting a speaking ministry. I'm starting a coaching opportunity. I'm sharing the stories of God's healing in my life. I'm podcasting. I'm going to do some radio broadcasting again. Those are all things that at age 59, people might go, what are you, nuts? You're too old for this. There's no way. I'm not going to do what I feel like he's given me a joy and yet some steps of faith to do. And I'm excited about all of that. I'm excited about, is there there's not fear. It's not fear. Listen, if God could if Christ could tell Peter to get out of the boat and walk on the water, he's not asking me to do anything that dangerous in the middle of a storm. He's not asking me to do anything that dangerous, right? So if Peter can crawl out of the boat, even with his own doubts and fears and anxieties, and obviously his personality quirks, I know that I can step forward and do some of these little things. I'm going to take on some personal growth things. I'm going to do some more learning about the technology needed to broadcast properly. I'm going to keep writing. I've got a memoir that's going to be a collection of the stories, and it'll be called Chronicles of a Christian Drama Queen, like my podcast. And those stories will supplement the Discarded Daughter Bible study, which, by the way, is not just for discarded daughters. It's for anyone who has trouble forgiving perpetrators and victimization. So that's happening, and I'm almost 60. So I have to step forward in faith to do those new things. So the third thing is, so what was the first thing? The first thing was you're never too old to learn new things. The second thing was it's never too late for God to give you the desires of your heart. And number 3, God still requires us to act in faith. No matter how old you get, he still requires that we act in faith, right? Right. So we know that. We know that to be the case. We may not want to do it, but we do know that that's the case. My apologies. So yeah, so that's all exciting stuff. So I'm excited about those things. What is something else that I have learned? I'm trying not to cry. All right. The enemy still wants to destroy you. He still wants to destroy your faith. He wants to destroy your health. He wants to destroy your relationships. He certainly does not want to see you be effective in your walk with the Lord. Thus, the need for us to act more often in faith. The enemy of your soul, no matter how old you get, is still out to destroy you, because the testimony that your life lives out in front of other people can be very damaging to Satan and his host of hoodlums. So in order for us to be able to be honest and authentic in our walk with God, we have to realize that the enemy still wants to destroy you. He's not giving up on you because you're almost 60. I had a situation even just this morning in the middle of prayer time with people who love me and show me great love and pray for me and have been good counselors and always edify me and lift me up. In the midst of this morning, the enemy launched an attack against me and my credibility, my authenticity, an attack on my relationship with my oldest son, an attack on all the things that I believe to be true about what God has called me to do. The enemy does not give up on believers. You understand that he doesn't usually mess with the lost. Those who are completely lost don't know about him, don't know about God, don't know about Christ saving them. He doesn't usually mess with those people because their testimony, he's already got them. Their testimony is already not leading others to Christ. But if you live out a testimony, and I want to get attacked for this later, I can already tell you. I wouldn't be surprised if the whole podcast and the live that I'm doing right now gets pulled from Facebook. Because what I am telling you is that your testimony of faith and the way that you walk with God and the things that you're going to do in your life because you're a believer, those speak to the lost. Those speak to others who are discouraged and fearful and don't know Christ. Those things are going to speak to those people. And the enemy's not going to stop attacking you just because you're almost 60. He's not. He's got it in his head that he can still take you out. But what possible weapon forged against you can prosper? All right. So those are some things that I've learned in this year of turning 59 today. 59 today. Oh my. How does that happen? I mean, for real. How does that happen? I'm still struggling with that idea. How does that happen? But it's nice to know that you guys are on this road with me. So just a reminder, you guys can find me. I'm everywhere. So you can find my Facebook. You can find me on Facebook. Like right now, I'm live streaming on Facebook. You can find my podcast, Chronicles of a Christian Drama Queen, on iTunes and Spotify and Amazon Music and iHeartRadio and several places. And you can also see my YouTube channel at Christian Drama Queen. Also, go to my website. Lots to do there. There's some things I'm doing to blog. I'm a blogger. Who knew at 59 you can become a blogger? And of course, you can find other things there. My story and other stories of faith that I'm going to be sharing there. And that is ChristianDramaQueen.com. Listen, guys, thanks for joining me today. Sharing with you what it is that's happening. And I love you.